Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Accept, Then Achieve. I'm so honored today to have our guest, Dr. Kai, in the house. Dr. Kai, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, so happy to be here. My name is Dr. Kai, and where to begin? I'm a first generation Chinese Canadian. I actually met Tony traveling when she was in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So I work full time as a coach, as a mentor, really focusing on inner child healing work, emotional intelligence, resilience training, and I work with people from all walks of life, focusing on doing the inner work, but also very practically helping them create and nurture healthier relationship dynamics. So I really focus on family dynamics, but also professional dynamics. And I guess one of my specialties, I have a published book called Emotionally Immature Parents, a recovery workbook for adult children. So I also work with a lot of Asian American, Asian Canadians, helping them heal, understand, unpack the dynamic that they had with their parents growing up, but also to make the maybe healthy changes in their adult relationship with their parents.
Yeah, wow. And this topic, oh my gosh, we're in the same field, but also this podcast has so many who would benefit from this conversation. I don't even know where to start, but maybe just tell us a bit more on how you got into this, because I know you also were on the medical Western medicine path before.
Yes. So yeah, really resonating, connected with Tony because we both kind of similar background. Where to begin? So I'm born and raised in Canada. My parents immigrated from China to Canada in the 1990, and we moved to a very small rural northern town called Whitehorse. It's basically the Alaska, the Juneau, Alaska, I guess, of America, of Canada. So growing up, never really felt like I fit in. I think when I was 6 years old, this is like a joke, like the white part took over. Like I first learned Cantonese, but then at the age of 6, starting preschool, kindergarten, the Canadian side, the English side really took over. So I go by Kai now. So actually, my Chinese name is Kai Tai, or in Cantonese, it's Gatai. Whereas
Oh,
Kevin, I went by Kevin most of my life, and that's my English name. So my background was in medicine. I thought that's what I wanted to be when I'm older, as I grow up. And there were family expectations and pressures, but also it was just at the time I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to help people. So very naturally, with our limited knowledge, like doctor, that's the only way. The best
right.
way is to become a doctor. So I kind of went down this path of becoming a doctor. It took me 5 years because I had a breakdown in my third year. And really going through medical school was like the hardest, toughest thing I've ever done. And it really kind of forced me to like kind of heal and to kind of work on myself as all the things were kind of coming out. And really like going through medical school, after having a breakdown in my third year, I took a break. I actually dropped out of medical school. And at the time, I didn't realize I was burnt out. I was really hard on myself. All like my traumas and stuff were coming out. And that was the perfect condition for a breakdown, a wake-up call. So this breakdown really changed my worldview because I didn't realize up until that breakdown, my belief system, it's kind of ironic, but I would die trying to become a doctor. That was like kind of where my worth was set up.
Same.
I would die, I would kill myself to try to become a doctor, which during that breakdown, I did contemplate killing myself. So when I
Can relate.
realized, yeah, right. I think a lot of doctors, residents, medical students like really sometimes go through this. But it woke me up. It made me realize that I didn't want to die. Nothing's more precious than my life. And I will take a break or drop out if I have to. So before that breakdown, I didn't think that was an option to take a break, and to even drop out and to leave. So I dropped out for 6 months. I actually tried to get into coaching during that break in 2017, 2018, but I wasn't ready for it yet. And also, I wasn't sure yet if I didn't want to be a doctor. Like, what kept me going was this like thought that what if it's my mental illness? What if it's my
Mm-hmm.
imposter syndrome? What if it's just my anxiety? And if I were to fix this, I would love becoming a doctor. Like it's my destiny to be a doctor.
Mm.
So I wasn't sure. And also I didn't get to like go through my psychiatry rotation. So I felt like I didn't give myself a good chance. And of course, right, when you're burnt out and you don't realize it, you're not at your optimal functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of went back to the program and restart my third year, and I went through the whole program. And even at the last minute in my fourth year, I was about to apply for 5 years of psychiatry. So literally, it was at the very last moment where once again, I kind of listened to that quiet inner voice, the authentic voice that was like, no, let's take 1 year off and let's actually pursue coaching. And I think this is the better path for us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a journey, a roller coaster. I've been doing this for 5 years, but I just share the story because it was confusing, anxiety provoking the whole way. And it's not that I was just super confident. I stopped feeling anxious and then I was able to do the thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
through the anxiety, the fear, the guilt, the confusion. I kept choosing, I kept taking the path less traveled, and that's what brought us here today.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I'm curious how you knew then that coaching, like, when did you, like, how did you know that coaching was the right one for you and medicine wasn't? Even did
Yeah,
you reach that moment where you were like, okay, my mental health's in an okay place and this still doesn't feel right? Like, how do you distinguish?
yeah. I think there were just like many moments. And like I said, right, like throughout medical school, those 4 years, I always had this question. I always like was questioning, is this the right path for me? If I dealt with my mental health, had better mental health, like would I still choose this path? But kind of along the way, like in my second year of medical school, um, I met a friend and her friend was a coach. So
Mm,
this was back in like 2015 when I first discovered that there was such a job as a coach. So she was super cool, single mom, with her as a friend. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I want to work with you. So I spent like, I think at the time it was like 3,000 Canadian dollars. I worked with her across 2 months. And this was before Zoom. So every week we met on Skype.
mhm,
It was generic life coaching, like values and like belief system. But it was so helpful. And that always left like a positive experience. So then when I took a break and I was wondering, what else could I do? And to be honest, my decision making was like, what else can I do? I know I like people. I want to help people change. I don't want to do any more school. I spent my whole life in school. I do not want to do any more school. So I thought about my friend who was a coach, and I was like, you know what? Like that was so helpful. And she was able to do it online over the internet. And I realized as I was going through medical school, I value freedom. So
mhm,
like there's always signs, but it's like, do you recognize the signs? So every time I did a new rotation, I will always ask the doctor, like, can I travel one day when I'm a fully established doctor? And they always say yes to their own answer, but
mhm,
it's not no. But they'll always say something like, yeah, you could do doctors across borders, blah, 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 blah. So like, they'll kind of tell me yes, but it wasn't the yes that I needed, I wanted.
mhm,
Um, like I said, right? Literally, it was my fourth year, the deadline of CARMS, like you have to apply to do residency. I still was thinking that I wanted to do it. But I think what's important is to really develop a connection, a relationship with yourself. And that like what's really helped me is the inner child work, the emotional work, and also mind training. I do a lot of like mindfulness practices, Buddhist meditations to kind
mhm,
of clear my mind and to know and kind of know the difference. Like what is more gut feeling, intuition than maybe fear, the
mhm,
worrying. Um, so I didn't really know until it was the deadline to make a big decision.
mhm,
But once I decided I'm not gonna apply, of course I felt like very scared, very worried, I felt ashamed, I felt confused. But then like within like 5, 10 minutes after midnight passed and it was too late to send my applications, I felt so relieved. I
Yeah.
felt so happy, excited. It's almost like you find out that you have vacation, or like back when you're in school, you're like, I don't know, you realize that you have another day off or something like that. So
Hmm.
there's that feeling of relief and excitement. But once again, right, once I made this decision, like, and reflecting, there were so many signs that my heart wasn't in it.
Hmm.
Like even when I was taking my picture for my application for CARMS, I didn't really care. Like all my friends, they spent a lot of money dressing up, getting a professional photographer. And I literally just got a photo done in my brother's apartment living room. And I got my friend who's a photographer just to throw something together.
Hmm.
So I think like if you're connected and you look, there are signs that maybe like your heart or like you're not fully in it for your own choosing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Actually, I was curious if you've experienced, you said that amazing experience with that coach. Had you also experienced therapy as well? And what's the difference? Because I get asked that question a lot, and I'm curious on each coach's take on that question.
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I've experienced both. I'm very grateful going through medical school. Part of being a medical student, I had access to therapists and therapy. So I would say it's interesting because there's actually a lot of therapists these days, like starting their own kind of coaching or business. I would say the difference is like professionally, there's a difference, whereas a therapist has to go through a university, like a master's degree, whether it's like therapy masters or social work masters. Whereas coaching, it's like wild, wild west. It's a good thing and a bad thing. But literally anyone overnight can change their Instagram profile and be like, I'm a somatic, whatever, right?
Hmm.
So I think there's a difference in like the regulation and the degree. And then I think it's the approach as well, where I think of therapy, if we look at traditional talk therapy, it's very like problem focused, where it's like unpacking the problem and kind of getting you to live a normal life. Where sometimes coaching it can be more skill based, more action orientated, and depending on the coaching, I see the coaching work as more like taking you already as relatively normal to like optimal to
Mm.
like thriving. But I think there is a lot of overlap between coaching and therapy. But I would say like if you have a lot of like intense traumas or you suffered abuse that's never been spoken about or navigated, it's really affecting you. Like I would highly encourage you to maybe first connect and work with a therapist before considering coaching, even like coaching program that touches on trauma healing work. Um, yeah, I'm curious for you, Tony. For you, what is the similarities and differences coaching and therapy?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, I agreed with everything you shared about that. And I would say adding being a doctor and Western medicine to the mix, you're taking people from down here to just okay or to functional a lot of the time, and that is so draining. It's really important work, really gratifying work too. But I also have been a coach myself and experienced being able to take people from not just surviving, but as you said, optimal, thriving, really, because that difference in their life. I mean, every step is important, and having the right support people for your needs is really important. And I feel like it is tough because the coaching industry, it can be hard to figure out who is skilled enough to get you the results that you're seeking because unskilled people can re-traumatize you by not being able to hold space or handle what you share with them in a
Yeah.
safe way and respectful way.
Yeah.
So,
You can have the best intentions, but right, like if they're maybe not trained or skilled, or maybe their breadth of work, like the client exceeds the needs that maybe the coach cannot meet for them. But I also like how you said, right? You add in the doctor. Like another way that I look at the differences is like doctor, therapist, and coach.
yeah.
Whereas with the doctor, it's like the most maybe like boundaries. and you basically know your doctor the least. Like it's
Hmm.
also trained as a doctor not to
Because
share
we're
too much
not
personal.
allowed to, yeah, share
Exactly,
too
you're not
much about
allowed to.
ourselves and all this.
Yeah, and then therapist, depending on the therapist, there could be more kind of sharing, but even then, similarly,
Yeah,
trained to not disclose personal stuff.
professional
Yes,
boundaries.
professionalism. Whereas with a coach, where I could be the most personal, and usually depending on the coach, especially if they're like a very specific niche, the coach
Mhm.
themselves has healed or moved through a very similar challenge that you're facing. Whereas like a doctor could help a patient with like, I don't know, some sort of disease that the doctor themselves didn't personally go through or have
Hmm.
family members go through. So I think with a coach, it could be the most personal. Um, and
And
also,
specific.
yeah,
Yes.
specific. And you can really get to know your coach at a personal level
Mm.
rather than the doctor, the other extreme. You barely know anything about, your doctor, and they're not
Mhm.
supposed to really open up to you, even though it might be actually helpful for the
Hmm.
patient, client in their own healing journey.
Absolutely, yeah. And that was another reason I left medicine myself too. And I just think coaching, also like just being able to walk alongside someone rather than having that weird hierarchical, I'm above you dynamic. That was just always weird to me. And yeah, when we had all that training, because I did all of the training, I did 4.5 years of residency training, became a board certified, full-fledged doctor, even practiced for a couple of years there. And I'm just like, it doesn't get better, does it? It was a lie. So it was good you left early. But
Yeah,
yeah, I just was
escaped. Yeah,
like,
escaped really.
these are so silly, right? Like these rules and things. So, and I love that because I started off with the self-love and then didn't realize that basically was inner child work. And that was a better way to describe it and frame it. And then, because I had always been really interested in relationships too, and I was helping with relationship coaching, and then not realizing, hey, they actually go together because a lot of the trauma you experience and how you relate to yourself affects your relationships with everybody, as you said, especially your family, but also your future family too. Romantic partners, your children, your close friends. It's all connected. So I think it's beautiful what you're doing and just yeah, how did you get into that? Was it also a natural? You're just like, oh, this naturally leads to that.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I graduated medical school actually in the pandemic. So I actually got to finish school early. So kind of by March, I was finishing my last year when one day we got a very like suspicious email from Student Affairs where kind of like they weren't like very specific, kind of hinting that there's a global pandemic and very likely there will be no more in-person sessions. So actually, I I got freed in March as opposed to June. So I started like to be honest, it took me like 4 months to kind of recenter in coaching. So like during the 3, 4 months, I had so much energy that was freed from no longer being a medical student. So I started learning everything I could online. I started to blog, started like looking into making an online course. But then after like 2, 3 months, I started my Instagram, my TikTok. I realized, okay, no, 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 wait, focus. Like we have a limited time to make this work. Coaching. So at the time, I got like a targeted Instagram ad for this like transformation coaching training online. So I actually started off as a happiness coach. I started off as a happiness coach where I focus on positive psychology. I taught all my students how to meditate, and it was like a 2, 3 month program. And at the time, I was naive. I thought if I just got good at coaching and I built a very good program, clients will just magically show up. So I spent like the whole summer, like 2 months, like building my training, my course, got Teachable, and I got a university friend to be my guinea pig. She paid me like 120 Canadian dollars by donation, and then no clients. And that's when it dawned on me that, oh my gosh, like there's a whole other side of business I'm not realizing, like the marketing, the sales, the
Mm-hmm.
mindset. So it was at this time I also was working with like a coach. She was like more high performance and productivity. But also at the time, like it was like approaching my deadline again to apply for psychiatry residency. Like it was October.
Mm,
So even though I was doing a lot of things, nothing was working.
mhm.
My audience, my social media was like very quiet, no clients. And there was at this time that like another targeted ad. It was this, to be honest, this became my coach, but I hated his face. Like he was so annoying. He was just like bald, rich-looking British guy, like very
Who
British.
was he?
His name's Alex Jeffries, and he was like living out of his mansion in San Diego, and his whole pitch was like, "Give me $1, and I'll show you how to get clients in abundance. Give me 3 days of your time, join my online event for just $1, and I'll get you clients in abundance." So I saw his ad for like 5, 6 days, and I was just like, "No, stupid, dumb, scam." And then finally, just like seeing his face. Also, it was dawning on me that like this is not working.
Hmm.
And if this doesn't work out, we have to go back. And
Hmm.
I do not want to go back. So I paid $1, but I promised myself, because I know he's going to sell me something.
Yeah.
So I promised myself, I'll pay $1. I'll learn everything I can in the 3 days. I'll do it myself
Hmm.
and do not spend any money on him. Like I'm already in so much debt and I
Uh-huh.
don't, yeah, once I make more money, then maybe I'll invest in myself. And that logic, silly. That logic is silly.
Hmm.
So anyways, I did the 3-day event. By day two, I signed up for his 1 year program.
Wow.
And that's what I needed. I needed to learn about marketing, sales, mindset. And also it was at this time I had a video on TikTok go viral. So really, it was just the ultimate changes, everything coming together. But to be honest, if I didn't invest in myself, even though I was already in like a lot of debt, I
Hmm.
would not be here. Like I
Hmm.
would have given up the dream and I would probably be miserable, maybe in medicine, or I might have went back. Um, so I figured things out as I went. So I started off as a happiness coach, then became like a boundaries coach, then became like a relationship boundaries coach, and then became like a healing transformation coach. So you really learn as you grow. And I think what I love about being a coach is you're always learning
Hmm.
along with your clients. And also I kept growing and expanding in my own work, like my own personal development and my own healing work. So it kind of kept growing as I went. And also part of coaching and content creating, as you create content, you get real-time feedback to see what people need. So I didn't realize that boundary is such a big thing until my clients kept telling me, like complaining about their parents, their family, and complaining about boundary struggles.
Hmm.
So you kind of learn as you go as well. You learn as you go, and also as you keep expanding your niche, your clientele, what you can offer will also expand and change with you.
Mm. I love that. Yeah. And as a coach too, as you said, we grow so much too, and we learn from our clients. And it's just a more interesting symbiotic relationship, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I wonder if I've seen this same ad. Was it Alan Jeffrey or was it Jeffrey Allen? Because I've seen a Jeffrey Allen with like curls.
Different. His name is Alex
Alex
Jeffries.
Jeffrey. Okay, okay. Because there was.
Alex Jeffries. I don't know when he's bald, so
Okay, yeah.
he,
I was like, can't be the same guy because like Jeffrey Allen is an energy worker. So I was like, that doesn't sound like him. Anyway, just a side thought. But yes, it is so important. Like whatever we do, there are going to be challenges. Nothing is easy in life, but I think what's so important is choosing our hard, like what is worth it to us. And
yeah.
yeah, um, and that sustains you every day. So how did you improve your mental health? Like, at what point did you feel like, okay, I feel in a better place? Was it after you made the change to a more aligned life, or if you remember that moment?
Yeah. I think things started to turn around like after the breakdown. So after the breakdown, so in third year of medical school, it's like known as the hardest year because you
Hmm.
get done with the hospital system, you're kind of working full time and learning and exams. So you have to go through all the specialties, family medicine, surgery, and I think most schools like there's uh different rotations of which order you do it. So I decided that I already knew I hate surgery. I'm not gonna like it. So I thought it'd be kind of smart to start with the thing that I hate.
Hmm.
So after my first week surviving through surgery, it was a Sunday where I had the breakdown because I had the worst case of the Sunday blues. I knew that Monday
Hmm.
hell starts all over again. So at the breakdown, I didn't realize like how hard I was on myself, how much pressure I put on myself, and how much I tend to neglect myself when I'm stressed as opposed to taking better care of myself. So I went through like 6 more months of medical school until I was like, okay, like I need a break. So I requested a leave of absence. I took 6 months off school. And over the 6 months, um, I I was going to school in Newfoundland, so it's like East Canada, very east, on this big island. And my hometown is in Whitehorse in the Yukon Territory. So it's on the other side of Canada. So it's a 4.5 hour time difference. So to be honest, like when I first took the break, I fully was quitting. It wasn't me taking a break. It was me fully quitting. I lost all hope. I lost all belief I can become a doctor. And it was me. I was going to drive all the way back to my parents' house. Once I got to their basement, I was going to call up my medical school and tell them that I'm sorry, you picked the wrong person. I'm sorry for wasting the seat.
Hmm.
I'm so sorry. So that was my plan. But to be honest, my medical school is actually very supportive. And they kind of like made me agreement that yes, I can take a break. However, every month I go on a call with the head of student affairs plus the wellness consultant. So
Hmm.
every month I'll check in with the three of us. And they were very open. They're like, like our intentions is for you to get better and then come back the next year. But also like we're open. If you do need more time, we can extend the leave. So they were very supportive, but
Hmm.
also like holding my hand throughout the break. So then, as I got that time off school, like even after 2, 3 weeks, I was feeling like my mental health improving. And almost like I felt like this heaviness, like lift. Like
Hmm.
you don't realize how much stress and pressure that got normalized that you're
Hmm.
living with until you kind of free yourself from whatever that is. So after 2, 3 weeks, I was starting to feel better, like more of myself, less brain fog, less like fear, less like activated trauma response system. So that was like, you know what? Yeah, actually, maybe this is more of a break. And maybe I'll actually go back after 6 months. So I started thinking about how do I best want to use this time off to take care of myself and to even enjoy life. Because medical school is so demanding, it's like a whole lifestyle thing. So then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not just gonna drive straight home or fly home. Like, I'm gonna make a road trip out of it. So I had a 2009 white Mazda hatchback. So I kind of packed up everything. I stored some stuff at my friend's house in St. John's, Newfoundland, and I embarked on a road trip and actually spent 2 months driving and living out of my car. And I got to meet family.
Oh.
One of the most beautiful things I experienced was I got to be in Halifax to celebrate my brother's university graduation
Hmm.
that I would never been able to if I stayed on track in medicine. So I got to see my sister, my brother, I got to meet friends that I met over my travels. And it was actually on this road trip. It became an unintentional spiritual journey where I
Hmm.
kind of like rediscovered myself. And I actually started the inner child healing work on this road trip. So I actually learned about inner child work a year before. I had this therapist that wouldn't shut up about inner child work. But I wasn't ready yet. And to be honest, my therapist was like triggering me a lot because like one of my wounds is not being listened to. And our
Hmm.
1 hour therapy session, it was just her talking. So I think I was also like it triggered my like rebellious teenager where I was like, no, screw your inner child work. I'm not listening to you. Anyways, it was 1 year later on this road trip. I like kind of like remembered just as I was driving, I just like remembered her. I remembered like she kept talking about this book about this guy, and I kind of forgot. So I had to
Oh,
like
which
think about
book?
ways. Homecoming. It's called Homecoming,
Homecoming.
Reclaiming and Championing Your Inner Child by John Bradshaw.
Oh, I
So it was
haven't
actually,
read that one.
I would
Add
recommend
it.
it. There's like a newer one that I prefer. It's called Lost Inner Child by Robert Jackman, something like that.
Mm.
I recommend both books. So actually on this road trip, I remembered inner child work and I started Googling it, researching it. And I kind of started doing the work on the road trip. But even
Mm.
without specific details of the work is like self-love. It is
Yes.
just becoming more of a nurturing parent to yourself. How
Hmm.
you think, how you talk, and how you treat yourself, as
Hmm.
opposed to just letting that inner critic take over.
Hmm.
We also grow. And even like in the world of CPTSD, by Pete Walker, like one of his approaches to healing complex PTSD is developing that inner nurturing parent voice.
Yeah,
So kind of on
especially.
this, I won't get into detail because I might get into trouble. But maybe on this road trip, I got access to plant medicines, and I might have been on plant medicines when I won't share the details. But I kind of peed my pants.
Oh.
And right away, the shaming voice came out, like, you stupid idiot. You're like, what are you doing with your life? Like, I can't believe you. Like, you left medicine to do, what do you, your life is a ruin.
Hmm.
So I heard that shaming critical voice. And instead of feeding it, listening to it, like, I just kind of interrupted it. And I started like being gentle and nurturing. And like, if I'm already peeing myself and I can't stop it, like, why add more shame and pain to it? So
Hmm.
there was this like moment. It's kind of embarrassing, right? But there's this moment where, like, as I was peeing myself, I was being like I was
Oh, so
being
comforting.
gentle, being very gentle. I let myself pee. I cleaned up afterwards. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So after the road trip, I went back to medical school, and it was so interesting because I had to redo my 3rd year. I had to go through the same rotations, same hospital, similar doctors. I got dropped a year. However, I changed in those 6 months. I
Mm-hmm.
was so much gentler on myself. I was less harsh. I was more self-encouraging. And most of all, I now have a relationship with myself.
Hmm.
And that really changed everything. To be honest, the year was still hard. I still had my difficult moments. Um, but I changed in those 6 months. So, of course, my experience changed. Even though externally it was the same,
Yeah.
I changed. So, my subjective experience changed. And also, how I was showing up was different too.
Hmm.
And that
Absolutely.
really changed, it changed everything. It changed everything.
Yeah. It's so powerful. It's like the internal is what really matters for everything.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Thanks for sharing. I can't believe I think we only have 2 minutes left of this episode. Where does the time go? We'll have to have you back for a part two. I just wanted to, like, the last question, well, just like, what would you like? Is there anything that you'd like to share with the audience before we go and how we can find you? But I'm just also curious, how was that relationship? How has your relationship with your family evolved?
Oh my
Um,
God. Yeah. So much better. Like, if anything, I felt like very enmeshed, codependent with family, parents. And over the
mhm,
years, I kind of unenmeshed, maybe become a little bit too independent.
mhm,
But things have gotten a lot better. If anything, now I'm in the phase of my life where I want to integrate more, be more connected with parents and family. But the interesting part is, like the more that I was doing this work and I became more maybe gentler, accepting, better with boundaries, kind of like in some ways my family and parents were kind of also getting better.
Hmm.
So what I would say is I'm less triggerable and reactive around my parents. And I just mostly feel a bit sad when I kind of think of them as opposed to angry or bitter or
Hmm.
resentful. In terms of what I can leave behind is I learned this during my breakdown that your life is a gift. Nothing is more important than your life and your well-being. So never
Hmm.
give up. And also, one of the most important relationships in your life is the one that you have with yourself and
Hmm.
your inner children. So you're not crazy. I think it's the crazy ones that don't talk to themselves.
Hmm.
So connect and speak with yourself, um, and never give up. And even ask yourself, like, what do I want in this life? And how can I take better care of myself? And lastly, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok at Hello Dr. Kai. But I'm sure Tony will include the links
Yeah,
in the show.
everything in the show. Thank you so much, Dr. Kai, for your time today. We'll see you
Thank
again
you.
some other time.
Thank you. We'll
Thank
go
you.
back for round two. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for today.
Appreciate it. Bye bye.